Ensuing drive, hand off to Nico Vargas. He does a lot of that there. 16 yards for the touchdown, and the Yeomen go up early 7-zip. So that's a good way to start the playoffs there. Next Cameron drive, handoff goes to James Dubose. Goes off the tackle to his right, cuts back to his left. He's gone. Nobody's going to catch him. 86 yards to the house, 14-0 after 1 quarter of play. Trojans, they would answer, though, on the first play of the second. Going back to Janik, and he takes off down the right sideline. 65 yards to the house. It's now 14-7 Yeomen. All right, Cameron Yoe, they would answer, though. Braden Brashear, play action over the middle. Zachorian spikes. 57 yards to the end zone. A lot of big plays in this one. Yeomen are rolling 21-7 at that point. And look at that score. They roll to the air around 56-7.
Wow.
This week's Game of the Week is sponsored by Baylor Scott and White Health.
And that's where we find Curtis Quillen. He's been out there at this game from the very beginning. He joins us live from Waco ISD Stadium. Cameron Yoe, they are moving on to the air around, Curtis.
Yeah, Nicky, Cameron Yoe came out the gate with their foot on the gas. They never took it off. They were up 14-0. West got an answer. It was 14-7. And from there, the Yeomen scored 42 straight to end the game. So the Week 12 by district Game of the Week champions for the second time this season, the Cameron Yeomen. We're joined by the head coach, Tommy Brashear. Coach, obviously this keeps your season going for another week. What did you see tonight that you really liked?
Well, you know, we wanted to play a full 4 quarters. I felt like we did that tonight. Kids started fast and they finished strong. You know, I felt like we played really well in all 3 phases of the game. Defense did a great job tonight. Bent a little bit but didn't break. Only gave up 1 or 2 big plays and did a great job offensively. Executed pretty well most of the night. Had a couple drives kind of stall. We wish we would have finished off. But and then in special teams, scored twice in special teams. You can never, you know, that's always a plus when you get those extra touchdowns there. So very proud of all 3 phases.
One of the things you and I were talking about off camera was your defense is peaking at the right time. Ever since that game at Rockdale, you guys, your defense has been on a tear almost. You know, a couple of plays here and there. To see that going into a matchup with Diboll next week, how big is that for you guys?
Well, that's huge. You know, defense wins championships, and that's a saying in Cameron, and we'll always have it. And you got to have a good defense. Your kids got to get out there. They got to play. You got to get lined up, get your eyes on your key, fly that football. And we've been doing that here recent weeks, and you know, we're going to have it next week.
3 touchdowns from James Dubose tonight. You guys had a lot of guys step up with 8 touchdowns total. Yeah. To see James have that kind of a game, does that reinforce some kind of belief in James and your offensive line at that point?
Well, yeah, I thought our O-line did a great job blocking. James Dubose, he's a big play threat for us. You know, when he touches the ball, he could take it to the house at any time. So, and he did that a few times tonight. So you saw that, and I'm glad he's on our team.
56-7, the Yeomen win. Coach, thank you for your time. Big time win. Number 5, Diboll is next. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. Plus, we will talk to the man himself, James Dubose, coming up. So stick around. For now, live at Waco ISD Stadium, Curtis Quillen, 6 Sports, guys. All
right, Curtis, to get those Diboll Lumberjacks. Yes. My cousin went out there many years ago. That's going to be a good game coming up next week. Let's stay in Class 3A Division I, where Rockdale could make a huge statement tonight in Belton.
The Tigers squared off against number 2 Grandview, a team that has scored 40 or more points in 7 of their 10 games this season. Out to Belton High School for the Class 3A Division I by district round. This was a very entertaining game from the beginning. Jace Robinson's going to be back to pass for Rockdale. He's picked off by Austin Boyd. He makes it like Deion Sanders down the sidelines, and 42 yards later, he's in there for the touchdown. 7-0 Zebras. Tigers respond. It's Cameron Valdez. He's been a stud all season long. 17 yards later, he's down the 1-yard line. Now it's time to reward that man. He's going to get the touchdown, Rockdale, and we're tied at 7. Now, Grandview's next possession. It's coming. Here's their next possession. They're going to march down the field. Dane Gent loads up and fires down the field to Austin Boyd. 25 yards on the touchdown reception, 21-7 at that point. Grandview wins 42-7 the final.
Austin Boyd, touchdown on defense, touchdown on offense. Head out to Crusader Stadium on the campus of Mary Hardin Baylor Whitney, taking on Lago Vista. Vikings leading 7-zip second quarter. Buck Pounds finds Sam Hurley for 10 yards. And then Pounds escapes the pressure. Nice catch by Gonzo Hidalgo. 15 yards on the reception. 3 seconds before the half, 4th and 13 for Lago Vista. Pounds looking for his receiver in the corner. Incomplete. Vikings led 7-zip at the break. And look at this one. This just went final.
That's a
Whitney
close
comes
one.
from behind and wins 21-14. They're moving on.
All right, and let's head out to Waco ISD Stadium
last
as
night
number
here.
6 Troy squared off against TEAGUE in the 3A Division 1. First, TEAGUE leading 10-7. Jake Callahan looking for Drew, but it's picked off by Tyler Jarolek, and he scored right there. Next play, 29 yards. It's going to be...
Oh, that was Ben Presley to Zach Herbashik. Remember
And
that
he
name.
runs all the way and gets 39 yards on the touchdown reception. He had 243 total yards at halftime. Troy advances to the area round, winning 44-17 the final.
All right, a thriller tonight. Class 3A Division 2, number 9 Rogers went head-to-head with the Bison from Buffalo, and the Bison showed up early to play. Eagles driving. Joshua Miner cuffs it up inside the 15-yard line. So Buffalo football, after the Bison would drive with stall, they would have to punt it back to Rogers. Now a chance to redeem themselves. They almost cough it up again. The Bison really come to play. 4 plays later, Riley Dolger with the pass to Miner, hauls it in for 6 points, and Rogers finally gets on the scoreboard against a tough Buffalo defense. Just before the half here, Rogers and Buffalo in a close game, and look at this final. Rogers actually it was Rogers. They won 36-33 with 3 seconds left to go, so Rogers wins it by 3, 36-33. Score from around Class 3A, Clifton in a tie right now, late fourth quarter, 21-all. Palmer, they defeat Hamilton 49-7, and Lexington knocks off Rice 40-8. So we are just getting started on this wild Friday night of Bison's Ground. When we come back, we'll check in on Class 6A. We're just checking out some wild scores right now on Twitter. Welcome back. Let's move over to Class 6A. Midway ended the regular season, winning their final 3 games by an average score of 31 points.
Midway's opponent, Tyler Lee, is going in the opposite direction. The Raiders lost 3 of their last 4 games, but we know anything that happened last week doesn't matter now. It's a packed house at Panther Stadium for this Class 6A Division 2 matchup. A defensive game early as both these teams exchanging blows early. Both teams forced to punt, but On their second possession, Tyler Lee, quarterback. Trent Adams is picked off by Jacoby Haverly. Okay, this is not happening right now. Hold on. I think it's going to be here.
Oh, here's Jared Moore.
Is this picked off by Jacoby Haverly?
No, that's Jared Moore to Zach Stewart right there because they're knocking on the door,
knocking on the
Nikki.
door. Now wait, 3 plays later. First play of the second quarter, Moore pulls it down and runs for the score, and it took a whole quarter, but Midway strikes first. The final score, 35-7. Midway continues to roll.
All right, Longview looking for their 27th straight victory. Temple coming in LOGO Stadium at 8-2, looking for the upset tonight. So Temple won the toss in the first. The first play from scrimmage for the Lobos. Haynes King finds Case Moore. Look at that. Nice catch and run. Temple would actually block the extra point, so it's 6-0 Longview. Temple would respond, though. Vance Willis. He's going to find the Texas commit, Quentin Johnson. Where's he at? There he is. Big-time player right there. 7-6 Temple on top. So Haynes King, Lobos, they go back on offense. Bootleg. Austin Pynchon got it. Nice catch, 13-7 Longview. And then Haynes King again. Longview just, after a Temple punt, Longview back in action, and there's play action. Decides to keep it himself. There he goes, looking like Joe Montana. Dived into the end zone, 27 at that point. Longview, they roll on this one, 41-10. All right, scores from around Class 6A. Mesquite eliminates Shoemaker tonight at 52-6, and Harker Heights, they fall to Rockwall 47-7.
All right, over in Class 4A Division 2, where MEXIA squared off against Bullard in Cedar Hill. Jaden Proctor takes the handoff and fakes to Gerald Wiley, making one defender miss with a nice juke and another one. He is gone, gets it going for the Bobcats, 7-0. After a back-and-forth game, Jaden hands off to Trey Jones.
Hold on, it's coming.
Not yet. All right, here we go.
All
right.
What's old Foster Davey doing? He was out there.
He's taking so long in between
taking
plays.
too long.
All right, here we go. He's going to hand off to Trey Jones, and he fumbles the ball. Riley Long scoops it up, brings them into the red zone.
So MEXIA's in business right there.
Yes. He sets it up in the red zone. Now, Tristan. Nope, not yet. Here we go. There we go. He's going to fake, calls his own number, puts the Panthers in the lead 21-14. That one ends.
Look at that.
Oh my gosh, MEXIA won 35-34 the final in overtime.
Awesome, awesome. All right, scores around Class 4A. China Spring, how about this? Big win there, 50-22 over Kennedale. Number 6 Lampasas cruises past Brazosport 42-14. Salado wins big, 57-16 over Rusk. And Fairfield, they take care of Wills Point, 37-21. Of course, last night, La Vega crushed Lake Worth 72-zip, and Connolly rolls over Canton 42-21. All right, when we come back, we're going to go back out to our game of the week. We're Curtis Quillen standing live with Cameron Yoe, the winners of tonight, and moving on to round number 2. Stay with us.
This week's Game of the Week is sponsored by Baylor Scott and White Health.
All right, Cameron Yoe, they move on to round number 2 after defeating West. They take on Diboll next week. Curtis Quill is live out there at Waco ISD Stadium with more on tonight's big win. Hey, Curtis.
Yeah, Nick, it's going to be number 8 Cameron Yoe and number 5 Diboll, and I'd just like to say now, dibs. Now that that's been established, tonight, 56-7, the Yeomen take down a really good, really young West team. 3 of those touchdowns of those 8 belong to James DeBose. James, when you saw some of those holes open up tonight and you were able to get through them into the open field, what's going through your head on some of those touchdown runs?
Just making it to the end zone. That's what I was thinking about. But, you know, O-line got a great push, you know, the big boys. And the receivers getting blocks down the field, you know, the big blocks that, you know, sealed it all.
Was this the game you were hoping to have tonight and that you were hoping the offensive line would have tonight to be able to get a win like this?
Yes, sir. You know, we had a good game plan coming into the game. Our O-line worked, you know, all week. And we all worked all week. And, you know, we came out and got the dub.
What is it you saw from your team real quick that you really like and you guys feel can help you get revenge on a Diboll team that knocked you out in the 3rd round last year?
You know, we're all disciplined, and, you know, we all want to win, and we all want it just as bad as they want it, but I think we want it more, and I feel like we'll go and we'll play our butts off at the end of the day.
James DeBose, 3 touchdowns in tonight's 56-7 win. That means the Yeomen will take on Diboll Friday at 7:30 at Magnolia West High School. We're not going away. That's it for the NBC portion. Head to your smartphone, head to your computer. We're on Facebook.com/KCEN News, KCENTV.com, the 6 News app. We're headed to our live stream portion, and we'll see you there.
Friday Night Lights is brought to you by Baylor Scott and White Health.
All right, welcome to our live stream portion. You know, it's already been a wild night across the area.
Yes.
See some upsets, seeing some teams advancing, including our game of the week. That's where Curtis Quillen is. Waco ISD Stadium as number 8 Cameron Yoe knocks off West in convincing fashion. And I'll tell you what, Curtis, next week is going to be a doozy taking on number 5 Diboll.
Yes.
Dude, I was just talking about that with some of the players, and I was telling Barry Roy, who's running the camera tonight, like, Diboll might be the most physical team in the state of Texas. And James DeBose looked at Barry and goes, dude, they hit hard. That game, as Greg Tepper at Dave Campbell's Texas Football would say, is a tasty matchup. You've got a super physical, run-it-down-your-throat Diboll team taking on kind of a balanced spread attack Cameron Yoe. That is, I mean, to be honest with you, that Diboll game is the one that kind of did Cameron Yoe in last year when they got a little beat up in that Diboll game, and that's what kind of did them in the 3rd round last year. So this is a really fascinating matchup. This Yoe team tonight, guys, I don't think you understand how well that defense has been playing since beating Rockdale. Rockdale is an explosive offense. Cameron held them out of the end zone for an entire game. Lago Vista can score in bunches. They contained Lago Vista. Then tonight, West is also capable of scoring in the 30s, in the 40s. They got 7 tonight. That is a very good Cameron Yoe defense. It is peaking at the right time. Man, please send me to Magnolia Friday, because I would like very much to see that game.
Watch your overtime here. So if you got to go to Magnolia, we got to watch that OT during the week here, because you got to go to Baylor tomorrow night. Yeah, but look, this is
look. In all seriousness, that was a heck of a performance from a very good Cameron Yoe team. And if you're a West fan, all I'm going to say is that is a really young West team. I was talking to Coach Woodard before the game, and they have so much experience from this team coming back next year. That's a really good team, a really good West team, and Coach BRASHEAR will be the first one to admit it from Cameron Yoe. So this was a fascinating matchup tonight. Obviously, that's an impressive win from Cameron Yoe. It gets them a week further into the season, and now it's at the point where if you're in the final 32 of the bracket, you're there for a reason.
Yeah, no doubt about that. No doubt about that. It's going to be a crazy coming up here next few weeks. Area round coming up next week. We got a lot of teams advancing, a lot of teams that did not advance.
Yeah, a lot of
thrilling
teams we
wins.
thought would make it, didn't.
I know. Rogers with a thrilling win, 36-33 with 3 seconds left. So I'll tell you what, tonight was wild, and as we keep going along, it's going to shrink up a little bit more, but we will see. I guarantee you, we're going to see somebody, maybe 1 or 2 teams in the state championship and bringing home a state championship trophy, because that's what Central Texas does each in and year out.
Come on. All right.
Yeah, and if this Cameron Yoe line, and we'll talk about it a little more in just a few minutes, if this Cameron Yoe line can block like that, DeBose can run like that, and Nico Vargas can run like he did tonight, because he had 2 touchdowns as well, they're going to be a hard out in the playoffs.
No doubt about that. We'll see you back here in just a little bit here. All right, it's Curtis Quillen out at Waco ISD Stadium. Listen, it is, and right up the road in BRUCEVILLE, they had a team that has had a phenomenal season. I mean, one of the best in recent memory here. Let's go down to Class 2A Division I. BRUCEVILLE, of course, like you said, 9-1. They talk about the 1985 team a lot.
The first time in the past 2 decades or something that they even had a record like that.
Exactly.
The Eagles have won 8 in a row, including going a perfect 5-0 on the road.
Yeah, could they extend that win streak to 9 against the Bearcats of DELEON? Here we go, rocking and rolling. First quarter here, we're going to pick it up. And TJ Jarman, the snap. Looks like Jordan shoot a 3-pointer with that pass right there. Wide open, easy money for the touchdown, BRUCEVILLE. Now Eagles go to kick off. Solo kick bounces right out of the Bearcats' territory and recovered by the Eagles. So how about that? You score and then you get the ball back. Unfortunately, they couldn't do anything, so it turns over to the Bearcats. Bearcats ball, solid pass to Jorge Gonzalez, gaining some major yards for the team right there. Down the sideline as they go, and they finally hit them out of bounds. Still ball, Bearcats ball, back to pass. Huge pass to Emery Amick, wide open in the end zone. Touchdown Eagles. This game went into overtime, and BRUCEVILLE, their season comes to an end. They fall 48-41.
And over in McGregor, where Valley Mills squared off against Italy. We're going to pick it up. This is the opening kickoff. Jaden Barr returns the ball all the way to the Eagles' 35-yard line, which sets up this a few plays later. It's quarterback Jaden Saxton takes it in himself. The extra point is good. That puts the Gladiators up 7-0 early. And that was all the scoring that would happen in the first half. It wasn't a good night for Eagles quarterback Braden Richardson. He got sacked. That was one. Here's two by Julius Wilmans, and then it's going to be a third one in a row. He almost got out of it, but he couldn't, and there was another sack. Jacob Kimmins, that one. But this one ended 47-23, the final. Italy wins, so I guess a lot of scoring did come out of that one.
All right, last night, number 3, SABA. They only allowed less than 5 points per game entering last night, and RIESEL looking to knock out the Armadillos in McGregor, opening drive for the Indians. Will McClintock through the air, but Jake Fraught picks it off. That sets up the Armadillos right at the RIESEL 30-yard line. Then the Dillos threatening. Handoff goes to Eli Salinas. He gets wrapped up, fumbles the football. RIESEL recovers at its own 1-yard line. Now later, after an Indian punt, handoff goes back out to Salinas, and the workhorse does it again. He working it, making a cut, getting to the outside, gets all the way down to the Indian 6-yard line. So next play, gets it to get the football. Mr. Salinas from the 6, he's money. Dillos take a 7-0 lead. They would go on a scoring spree throughout the rest of the game. They roll 57-20.
And last night, Bosqueville faced off against Crawford in the by-district round in Clifton. It was scoreless in the second. Luke Bradshaw fires his left, finding Jace Powers. 16 yards on the slant route. Bosqueville takes a 7-0 lead. Now ensuing Crawford drive. Tate Abel gets the pitch on the third option. Tricking Curtis Quillen, goes around left side, 30 yards, and the Pirates are in business.
Hello, Curtis. Hey, what's he doing over there?
Later in that drive, Tanner Miranda goes through the air, 3 yards to Abel, touchdown. Crawford, extra point, no good. Bosqueville led 7-6 at the half, but Crawford would put the pedal to the metal and cruise 32-7 the final.
Our guys, they hung in there, and like I said, I'm not going to lie, we like to we like to grind it out, and we like to be physical, even though we're maybe not the most physically, imposing team, but, our guys like to get down there and play hard.
Oh, I love Delbert Kim. All right, another last night, Full Moon and Taylor's Chilton square off against Burton. Chilton ball, quarterback McKellar Cook looking for a wide open receiver. He is picked off by Cooper Lucher. He's going to go the other way, 60 yards on that pick 6. Burton jumps out to a 7-0 lead. Later, Burton goes to work on offense. Cash Callahan, I love that name. Cash Callahan calls his own number on the jet sweep, dives, he's going to cash this into the end zone. Burton led 14-zip. Hey, in the words of Lee Corso, not so fast, my friend. Chilton on offense. Cook on the quarterback keeper, and he is cooking up something really hot right here. He's gone, running like Michael Vick back in his prime, 21-7 at that point. And how about Chilton? They come from behind to win 28-21, and they advance to round number 2.
All right, staying in Class 2A Division II, BREMOND has what it takes to make a deep run as the Tigers were outside on Louise. First drive of the game, Hunter Wilganowski gets the outside zone run. His line opens up, nice hole, stiff arms the defender, and that's a 32-yard pickup. Later in the drive, JT Anthony keeps it himself. Good luck stopping number 9. BREMOND strikes first, and the Tigers are up 8. Next Tiger drive. Oh, we got cheerleaders. Next Tiger drive, it's Anthony again, a right.
Hey, the right analog stick, that's a PS4 term. Do you play video games?
No.
Well, that's
and you can't
why.
touch him. Another big game. Now, a few plays later, number 9 calls his own number and scores his second touchdown of the game. BREMOND wins big, 52-13 the final.
All right, scores from around Class 2A. Number 7, Holland crushes Junction 73-14, if you thought that was impressive. Number 3, Mart just basically destroys West Hardin 81-14. Over in Class A, Jonesboro, they advance past Leakey 40-36. All right, right now we have Jeff Yu, Midway head football coach, on the line right now. Let's see, he's coming on the line here in just a bit. There he is, Jeff Yu, Midway head football coach. big win tonight. You advanced to round number 2. Coach, what's the feeling tonight on the big win?
Well, hey, Nick, thanks for having us on. Hey, we're excited. You know, I thought it was just a well-played game, and defense played really well, and we were able to put some points on the board, which is always good.
Coach, can you talk about, Tyler Lee, hey, they're a team that they hung out early, and, your boys played really good on both sides of the football. How do you carry that momentum going into next week?
Well, I think it's one of those things where our kids have learned to do that. It helps when you play Temple and Belton at the end of the season, and it's just one of those things where we're celebrating it tonight, but we're going to move on and turn the page tomorrow.
What's the mindset of the team right now? You guys treat every week, go 1-0. You guys go 1-0. So what is the mindset on the in the locker room and like you said, tomorrow? Hey, it's a brand new day, and it's you got to start preparing for next week.
Well, that's exactly right. And I think number one, the mindset is our kids are very confident. They believe in what they're doing. They believe in our system, offensively and defensively, and they're playing like it. And so, they got to come out ready to go Monday, and we got to get after it.
Hey, how much does experience play a factor? You got some boys that have played on this stage before in years past. How much does experience factor into this, especially when you face teams that don't have the experience like maybe you do?
Well, I think we got great senior leadership, and it's been very evident, this senior leadership, the last 3 games, starting with Shoemaker, Temple, Belton, and now Tyler Lee, and because they, like you said, they've been there, and, they've been in some big moments and big games, and this is one of those things in the playoffs where you got to rely on that.
Well, Coach, you guys play in Mansfield next week, taking on McKinney at 7:30. I know you don't know much about them, but anytime you start going deeper in the playoffs, everybody's got to be good.
Oh, that's absolutely right. It doesn't really matter who you're playing. If they're still in it, then they're pretty good.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you taking time to chat with us after this big win tonight. Good luck. Tell the boys congratulations for us, and we'll definitely be talking to you next week.
All right, Nick, sounds good. Thanks for having us on.
Thank you, buddy. All right, head coach Jeff Hume, I love that guy, and I'll tell you what, those Midway Panthers, they keep rolling on.
Really good. But it's time now for our Gridiron Player of the Week, who comes to us from our Game of the Week from Cameron Yoe, BRADEN BRASHEAR. He threw for 4 touchdowns last week, and he is they're continuing on, so he's going to do something special in the postseason too. The Cameron Yeomen are en route for another playoff run, a team that's experienced from top to bottom when it comes to playing in the postseason.
Our kids are used to it. It's an expectation in Cameron, not just a hope or something you hope for. So our kids are used to the playoff atmosphere.
Last Friday night, the Yeomen played in their final regular season game against LAGO VISTA, winning 45-35. Senior quarterback BRADEN BRASHEAR was 17 of 24, passing for 346 yards and 4 touchdowns. But to him, he didn't feel the team executed well on offense.
It definitely really helps our confidence. It makes us feel good. We really feel like we didn't execute that well on offense, honestly, but we came out with the win. And that's what's important.
You may have noticed the last name of coach and quarterback are the same, which is because they are father and son. And Coach BRASHEAR feels that dynamic right there is definitely an advantage for him and his team.
He kind of knows what I'm thinking when I call a play. He kind of knows what I'm wanting and what I'm looking for, what we're looking for. A lot like having another coach on the field. And
I've been with him so long, it's kind of hard not to think the way he does and know the stuff he does.
But not only is BRADEN like another coach to the team, his father describes him as a leader and an overachiever.
He's a good leader for us, one of the hardest working kids on the team. You almost got to kick him out of the weight room sometimes. He wants to lift even when, it's not time to lift. So, but he does a great job for us. Great leader, very smart.
And with the first round of the playoffs right around the corner, BRADEN says the game plan doesn't change for the Yeomen. Just go out there and do what they know how to do.
We just got to practice good every week and read our game plan and watch film. They're a good team, and we just got to do what we're supposed to do.
Yes, they did what they needed to do today, and they got the win. And we're going to go back out to Curtis Quillen because he's at the Game of the Week. He could tell us all about how it happened, what happened. But
Exactly. Let's go out to old Curtis. Hey, Curtis, you know, Class 3A.
Are you laughing because I said that it was part of the game of the week?
That poor girl. So Class 3A Division 1, we see, you know, Whitney taking on Franklin, the Yeoman taking on Diboll, which is going to be a thriller, and Troy taking on Crockett and College Station. I mean, this is 3 really solid games going on right now.
Can you hear me?
Oh,
we're having some technical
we have technical
problems.
difficulties. Curtis, can you hear us? If not, it wouldn't be the first time. I think he has selective hearing.
Can you not hear me?
I can hear you now. I can hear you now. We were just talking about, you know, 3 marquee games coming up in 3A Division 1. Whitney and Franklin, the Yeoman and Diboll, and Troy and Crockett, which is going to be a great one in College Station. I mean, as the 3A Division 1 starts falling down, we're going to see some really good matchups here.
It's going to be so much fun. This is probably the dream playoff bracket, if you're being completely honest, for the entire area, especially if you don't have a dog in the fight anymore. You've got two number 1 seeds in Whitney and Troy still alive. You've got 2 number 2 seeds in Cameron Yoe and in, GRANDVIEW still alive. That's just in 3A Division 1. And they're both playing incredibly talented, physical, old school football teams from East Texas next week. Like, that is one of those things that makes Texas high school football so special. You look at that Crockett-Troy game next week, in my head, when I picture this game playing out, I picture kind of like that 4A Division I state championship game a year ago between Liberty Hill and La Vega, with 2 teams basically on the field with sledgehammers just swinging away. And, you know, whoever can last into the 4th quarter in those kinds of physical games usually wins. Man, that is a phenomenal matchup from just a Texas high school football geek perspective, like me. I love matchups like that. Another one that's going to be really, really fun, I believe China Spring gets Argyle next week. If I'm not
they take on Melissa and Waxahachie.
Yes.
Coming up on Thursday night.
Okay.
So that is going to be
a fun one too, because Melissa kind of is similar and yet different at the same time to the Kennedale team that they beat tonight, which, mind you, China Spring scored 43 of their 50 points in the second half tonight.
That's
incredible. A ton. That's a fascinating matchup. I saw a stat, and I'm going to shout him out right here. Gatesville head coach Luke Howard tweeted tonight, District 5 4A Division I won their 4 playoff games. That is number 1 seed La Vega, number 2 seed Brownwood, number 3 seed Stephenville, and number 4 seed China Spring. Won their 4 playoff games by a combined 179 points.
That's crazy.
Wow. Not surprising, though.
That tells you how good those teams are.
That's not surprising.
That is a phenomenal
that district
there.
Is brutal.
No.
I mean, it's really good and loaded.
Let's see. Yeah, and of the 5 4A teams that made the playoffs from our viewing area, all 5 are still alive. China Spring won, La Vega won, Salado won, Connolly won, and Mexia won in a thriller, by the way. This is probably, and we said it in week 1, and I'm so glad that they're proving us right, Nick. This is probably the deepest year I can remember in high school football here in Central Texas. It's phenomenal. It really, really is. We were talking in the press box during tonight's game, who is the most impressive team in the viewing area? You kind of have to go okay, in the big school ranks, it's this team. In the medium school ranks, like the 3A, 4As, it's this team. And in the 1A, 2As, or in the 2A, it's this. And in the 1A, Jonesboro won on a field goal last night. No. But and look at Jonesboro. Jonesboro was picked to miss the playoffs, kicked a field goal to win over Lakey last night. I was talking to Eddie Gallegos earlier today, and I asked him, I said, did the kids enjoy getting their revenge? He goes, Curtis, we got our revenge on Evant last week and Lakey this week. Last year, the 2 games that, ended Jonesboro's season, they wound up a 2 seed because they lost to Evant in week 11. Then they lost to Lakey as the Eagles were making their way to the semifinals in their first year in six-man.
Yeah, they get Eden.
I mean, Jonesboro is 10-1. Yeah, they get Eden. I believe that means they'll play in Zephyr next Friday night. And that's, if you're a Jonesboro fan, you really like that because guess who's in your district? Zephyr. You're familiar with the field. You're familiar with the stadium. And let's face it, it's probably the nicest six-man stadium in the state of Texas. That is a tremendous matchup. You look at Holland. They beat a pretty decent Junction team last night by a ton. 61-0 before Junction got on the board. Okay, so what's next? They go to New Braunfels next week. They're probably going to get Three Rivers. That's my old neck of the woods, Three Rivers and Kennedy. They get the winner of that game. If it plays out the way I think it did, because I'm from Floresville, it's 20 miles from Kennedy, that they're probably going to play Three Rivers. And that would be Friday night in New Braunfels at Unicorn Stadium, which is a really cool atmosphere. Then you go up to the Region 2 level. Crawford is playing amazing football. You want to know how good SABA is this year? You want to know how good Holland is this year? Those are the only two teams to have beaten Crawford this year.
Yeah.
They're both in the top 10.
And they got a
You
good
want to know
matchup
how good
against Honey
Valley
Grove.
Mills was coming into? They do. That is a Warriors team that is really, really interesting. That one's going to be in Forney Friday night. I don't know that they have a kick time set on that one yet. I know that
7:30 in
Coach
Forney.
KELM told me last night that, okay.
In Honey Grove, 10-1 on the season. They have been rocking and rolling. So this is a very, really good matchup. And I want to see Crawford just, of course, Delbert KELM, pound that football. Pound that football.
Yeah. That is the thing that threw me off was that Crawford threw the ball last night.
They did.
For as long as I've seen Delbert KELM's Crawford team, they have been a ground and pound. And like he said in the show, he's like, man, we love to be physical because at the 2A level, if you can play more physical than your opponent, it's in your favor. So they have been mixing it up this year. They are a dangerous team. If I'm making a prediction, I'm penciling Crawford in to play SABA in either the third or fourth round. I want to say that would be in the regional final, but there are teams that would like a word, like a Honey Grove team. Like you said, they're 10-1. You know who that one loss was to? I believe it was Bogota Rivercrest in a rivalry game in Week 11 with the district title on the line.
Let me
you know where else we've seen that? District 8-3A Division 2.
Let me ask you about this here. So we talked about Frank Sandoval and Mejia winning a thriller. They got Sunnyvale, 11-0, Friday night in Athens, out there in East Texas. Listen, Mejia's been playing really well this year. They got a real nice test tonight. Now it's really going to crank up a notch, though. But this is a team, you know, I would not count Mejia. And I wouldn't. Hey, listen, they will give you their best shot. And even if they win next week, it would not surprise me of how well Frank Sandoval has his team prepared week in and week out.
I want to point out that Frank Sandoval came to Mejia from Cedar Hill, where he was the defensive line coach. Now that I've pointed that out, have you seen the Mejia defense this year? Nikki, I know you have.
Yes, it's the best defense in their district. Yes, that defense is insane. I think their offense is good, but their defense is what wins them games.
Looking like Baylor right now.
Yeah, seriously.
Top heavy at defense.
I want to point out that District 8-4A Division 2 went 4-0 in the by-district round. The highest scoring team and now, I understand, Connolly took their foot off the gas out of sportsmanship. I know, trust me, I know Alan Hare was not trying to run up the score.
Listen,
but the highest scoring team in the first round was Salado.
You want to run up the score and embarrass people. And if you know what? Yes, you do. And you know what? If I was a coach, people would hate me because I would run the score up so much.
I wouldn't.
And if you don't like it, then stop us in. If you don't like it, stop us.
Okay, that's true.
Or go ahead and go home and cry.
Look, okay, moving on. Salado had the highest margin of victory out of District 8-4A Division 2. They won by 41, 57-16. The team that held Salado to its lowest point output of the season in district play was Mejia. That defense is awesome, but this is kind of like tomorrow night's Baylor game. Something's got to give. Mejia's defense is really, really good. Sunnyvale's offense,
It's really good.
Can be electric, but Sunnyvale's defense has also been really, really good. Because Pittsburgh is super athletic, has the ability to score in bunches. Just ask Ray Biles and Lorena from last year's third-round game in Royce City, which is one of the craziest stories I'll ever have from covering high school football. But that is a really explosive Pittsburgh team. There's so many fascinating matchups, and the problem here is we can only pick one to be game of the week. Like, if I could teleport, I'd go to New Braunfels, Magnolia, and A&M Consolidated next week, because those are probably the three most fascinating matchups to go watch. Holland and probably Three Rivers. I haven't seen the final on that. To go watch Cameron Yoe and Dieball take sledgehammers to each other on the field, and then to go watch Troy and Crockett do the same thing all on Friday night. That Thursday matchup between China Spring and Melissa is super intriguing as well. No, that was La Vega. I was going to say, I think China Spring has a history of success at Waxahachie, but I
possibly.
Hey,
La Vega's taking on Salina, and everybody knows about Salina, their history of Texas high school football, of them being just a powerhouse historically. I mean, but hey, listen, La Vega's rolling. They rolled last time, which was, I mean, to be fair, that was expected. But now they go up a little bit of notch. So I think they'll take care of Salina. But still, it's a good matchup of two really, really solid programs.
It's a fascinating matchup.
Yeah.
In high school football, pedigree wins. Here's the problem with Salina against La Vega. Salina has the historic pedigree. La Vega has the current pedigree. The last 5-10 years, La Vega is one of the top 5 programs in 4A. I feel it's pretty safe to say. Salina, though, I want to say they've got 8 state championships.
Yeah, it's a lot.
That speaks volumes in itself. They're up there. They're tied with Alito. They're tied with Richland Springs. They're tied with, who else? Katy? They're tied with a few other programs for the most state championships in state history. That is going to be like I think we could probably bill that one as the changing of the guard. La Vega's going to be a favorite. Keep in mind, La Vega has to go through Argyle. They have to go through probably Paris in the 3rd round. Those are going to be two completely different tests than Salina will give them next week on Friday. I don't remember. I know I texted Joe. I don't remember where I said that game was, courtesy of Rich Richardson.
La Vega and Salina. I had it right here on my phone. That's going to be, to be determined right now.
Somewhere in the Fort Worth area,
Is it going to be Fort Worth?
It's somewhere near Fort Worth is what I heard. I need to text Don Hyde and get that confirmed. But that is going to be, I think that might be the changing of the guard in 4A. That is a fascinating matchup. That's another one I would love to be at. If you can invent a teleporter, you will be my best friend, because there are many, many games I want to go to next week. Look, look, Nick, I want to be in 4 places in different regions of the state all at the same time next Friday. We need to make this happen. There's a lot of fascinating matchups. There's going to be more on Thursday. Mart is going to probably be a favorite in the 2nd round as well. We have to give them credit. I was talking to a coach who said they took it easy on West Hardin. They scored 83.
Yeah.
That says a lot about Mart. That says a lot more about Mart than it does West Hardin, because Mart is just that good. Falls City did something similar tonight in their playoff game. Reason I say that, Falls City's in Region 4, Mart's in Region 3. They would meet in the semifinals again. And that's another fascinating. There's just so much to love about the way this bracket is shaping out. Midway, that's a really good test for Midway. And I think the bracket shapes out well for Midway, because they won't run into Longview until the regional final. At that point, you could see anything happen.
Yeah.
There's a lot to love about high school football. Exactly. So I think it was a fascinating night, and if you're a fan of Central Texas high school football, as I've come to be over the course of 4 seasons, I love these results.
Yeah,
this is going to be fun.
It's going to be rocking and rolling here. Well, Curtis, we appreciate it. We're going to have everything on KCNTV.com of the whole schedule and everything else for next week's area round. Again, we'll be rocking and rolling.
Yep, I'll be posting those games as soon as they come in from coaches, and we'll have them up online.
No doubt about that. Well, Curtis, you guys be careful out there. We'll see you back here at the office. All right, that's going to do it.
Yes, I can't believe we only have one more week
No, this is it.
left.
Next
It's
week's
going
our
so
final week
fast.
of Friday Night Lights, the area round, and then we'll have a normal sportscast. But of course, we'll bring you all the scores and highlights every Friday night until the state championship, and then maybe 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 Central Texas
a lot, everyone.
teams are crowned. So that's going to do it for round number 1. Round number 2 next week. Stick with us, FNL. You guys have a good week, and we'll see you tomorrow. Baylor, Oklahoma, 6:30.
Don't want to miss that one.
College game day. We'll see you then.